Yeah, I'm one of, I mean, I don't even know how many camera operators. I think it's around 50, no, probably like 20 camera operators that, and I give or take, five. But yeah, I'm one of, many camera operators basically that has the privilege to do the Super Bowl, halftime show. We don't shoot any of the game. We just shoot the halftime show and that's it. Um, Pretty much for the last 4 years, I've had the pleasure of getting to do it. And I think what you find is from year to year, it's a pretty tight-knit team that does it. And we do a lot of different shows together. We all collaborate. So yeah, I have the privilege of operating a specialty camera, which is called the Trinity.
Right.
It's a hybrid of the Steadicam, which we kind of all have seen when you have, like a running shot and the camera's nice and smooth, or the camera's doing a big 360 around someone. So the Trinity is like a hybrid of that allows, usually on a Steadicam, you're kind of stuck in either like a regular mode, like at eye level, or you can flip it upside down and go low, but you can't do it in shot. Whereas the Trinity allows you to go low to high in shot, and it kind of allows you to change the perspective for the audience. So I get to operate that during this past halftime show and the past four or three halftime shows prior, and then on other shows as well. We did the Beyonce halftime show on Christmas Day this past year. Grammys, we literally went from Grammys right the next day to the Super Bowl halftime show in New
Wow.
Orleans.
Wow.
So yeah, and not every operator from the Grammys went to halftime show, but there was definitely a handful that just literally we did Sunday night Grammys. The next day we were on a plane and we were in New Orleans for a week, and then yeah, it's always a rush. It's a fun job, and it's a fun tight knit group of people that we get to work with on most of the projects. So yeah.
Awesome. So fitness.
Hmm.
Fitness, your workout. I mean, like literally not when you're doing your job, but fitness. You have to work out. I'm talking about the weight. I there's Trinity. I did some research on that.
Yeah.
General hitting about 20 pounds just for you know more about it obviously than I do, but
20
fitness
pounds
has
would
to be
be 20 pounds would
oh
be nice. Yeah.
no, that's just
Uh
I think so you tell us, but the fitness part, tell us about that.
yeah. So the one
Workout.
thing, yeah, no, the one thing with the Trinity is it's definitely just the rig itself is probably
Got it.
about I think like 35, 40 pounds. But
Wow.
then the camera is about 30 pounds. So it's about 60 to 70 pounds in total. And it's connected on a like a gyro stabilized arm, which absorbs all the shock, which is why it looks so smooth. And the weight is distributed through the vest, which sits on your hips. So a lot of people are like, "Oh, that must kill your back," and it's like, not really. It's more on your legs because if you're wearing it properly, the weight is all on your hips. So fitness wise, yeah, I just love my Peloton. But yeah, I just a lot of times what I'll do is if I know about the job ahead of time, I'll try and do like excuse me, the proper amount of training. Like we did the Eras Tour movie, the Taylor
Hmm.
Swift movie, and I
Oh
kind of
wow.
yeah, and
Opportunities. Those are just major. I'm sorry.
oh no, yeah, but it's like we knew about it about a month ahead of time, and it was a 3.5 hour show, and so I just kind of I try as best I can to get into a routine of a weighted vest and running on the treadmill and squat, leg exercises, back exercises. Um, yeah, whether it's on the road while I'm traveling for work or here at home or at the gym, but as much as I can, yeah, I really think it's cardio is what I try to really emphasize on. And the other thing to touch on is with the halftime show, we work with a company, one of the tech management teams that we work with on all these shows is the Funicular Goats, and they kind of supply the gear, and they've really gone toward a cinematic look, which is why the halftime show really starts to look like almost like a movie and not like other broadcasts where so you get that shallow depth of field, you get this beautiful like color grading, it just gives it a very movie-like feel, and those cameras are much heavier
Oh
than the
wow.
typical broadcast cameras. So if it's a broadcast camera, like we use that on the Grammys, you're probably looking at like a 15 to 20 pound build, but then add on a cinema camera with a cinema lens, the big transmitters, focus pullers have to pull focus with different zoom with usually on a broadcast camera, I'm pulling focus, so I don't have to add motors and stuff. But on the cinema ones, you just add all these accessories so it becomes a much bigger and a much heavier build.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah.
thought what yeah, I thought to that I kind of figured, okay, what I'm talking about on the 20 pounds, this is just one piece. And there
Mhm.
because what we saw, I attended a Super Bowl as and I just did a few videos from my phone and
Mhm.
posted them to YouTube, and it's like, wow, okay, you stood out. You and I think the video that I took for with my phone and the one that is posted to YouTube and everybody is giving you all these shout outs. I
Mhm.
literally did the search to find that person, and I think that is you. I want to be clear because I did send over something, and it's not like us that seed, and there's assistant on the back. Maybe there's an assistant on the
Yeah.
back of the
Mhm.
cameraman of you
Yeah.
all. So
Correct.
tell us about that. But first, I want to go back to the fitness piece because when Kendrick Lamar is running, I mean, from not the ones that they saw, televised, but what I saw, this is a
Um,
football field. Okay, so he's
yeah.
running, and then you guys are running with the camera
Yeah.
backwards
Yeah.
with this weight.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that is like, how do you do that? And and I know it's the steady cam and the flow of it, and taking this to all millions of viewers so that they can get what they need and how
Right.
it should be presented. How
Mhm.
do you do that? And this assistant on the back of you running backwards.
Yeah, so and I should say going back to like what you were asking about the fitness, I also I'll run backwards on the treadmill, at a slower speed, but just to, get that footwork. And I mean just like a athlete trains, you kind of
Oh, okay, got
you
it.
train your body to, like you see like a cornerback or a defensive back in football running backwards, doing drills backwards. It's like I personally, not every Steadicam operator probably does that. I don't know, but I personally find it helpful to be able to do that as well as like switching from forward to backward because sometimes you have to do that in shot. As far as like our assistants go and the people that you specifically saw, there was another Steadicam operator at the halftime show. So there was really two of us. And again, I was on Trinity and Tori Livia is the Steadicam operator. He was on Steady. And Tori's been doing Steadicams on the halftime show since I mean, I don't even know what his first one was, but I mean, he did the Beyonce one way back when, like in
So someone,
2007.
I think you did the Rihanna one as well,
I
or
did the
somebody.
Rihanna
Yeah.
one. Yeah, that
Hmm,
was my
hmm.
second time. Yeah. So, but
Wow.
my first one was the Dr. Dre, which was
Okay, so let's
awesome.
let's let's get this. Let's get. Wait a minute. So okay, on the Super Bowl halftime shows, Dr. Dre, Rihanna, Kendrick
Usher.
Lamar, Usher. Okay,
Yeah.
and then also Grammys,
Mhm.
Taylor Swift,
Yeah. Beyonce on Christmas.
Beyonce. Okay,
Which
so my,
Tori's the other Steadicam operator. He's like, there's him and like a handful of guys that are like doing like those big shows on Steadicam. So he's usually always there, as well. And to go to what you were saying with our assistants, yeah, I mean we're running backwards. Like we rehearse it as much as we can, but I don't even know if you noticed there's light bars that are going across the field on
okay,
Kendrick's
okay,
halftime show. And
okay,
so
okay.
my assistant, even though I'm like in my peripheral view, I make a mental note like, okay, the light bars are every 20 yards. So when I'm walking backwards with Kendrick or running backwards, I'm like kind of looking off to the side, like, okay, there's five, there's 10, there's 15, the next five, I got to step over. But also on top of that, my assistant's tapping my back. So I know lift my foot up because
Oh
yeah,
wow.
I mean, literally, it's hard to tell from some of the aerial shots at the Kendrick Lamar halftime show, but there's literally light bars that are going across the field, which a couple times we stepped on them and nothing, they're pretty durable, so it's not like they break, but you could easily roll an ankle or something like that.
Yeah.
Uh, So that's
Yeah.
what our assistants are there to really help. They're just, like I think there was on the Kendrick's They Not Like Us. I pulled him all the way into a full circle of dancers, and that's when we
And
kind of.
yes,
So
and you
that's
were
my
going around.
yeah. So
You know how
my
that was like?
assistant usually literally grabs my back and kind of steers me through the
Oh
dancers so I
wow.
don't run into the dancers.
Oh
Uh,
wow. That's
yeah,
amazing. And that is, yeah, that is one of the ones to not to just to jump in there. That is one of the ones where there's thousands, at least on my YouTube channel, there at Vikki Jones TV, there are thousands of people that are just like shout out to the cameraman and his assistant. So they're seeing that. Um, now, how do you not? I mean, because everybody's rocking the music. I mean, you just the people that you just named,
Mhm,
Beyonce, Taylor Swift, Kendrick
mhm,
Lamar, all these are Dr. Dre, all these are high profile artists, and the
mhm.
music is the music. And so, how do
Yeah.
you not just okay, just start doing this? I mean, I know you
Honestly,
have
I
to
think
focus, but it's like, how do you not do
yeah.
that?
So it's funny. There's the other half of of all these shows that I think of people. I always try and point people toward what we're hearing in our headset. It
Mm,
is absolute. I mean, I don't want to say chaos. It's organized chaos in our headset. So we have the the associate director, the AD. There's the director, and then there's the associate director. And typically, when it comes to showtime, the director is pretty silent, depending on the director and their style. But Hamish Hamilton, who's the director for the halftime show, and Alex Radinsky, who did the Beyonce show, and Hamish also did the Grammys. They are pretty quiet once the show gets going. Usually they'll chime in with like, oh, that looks great. Like that's kind of it. But their associate directors, those shots are broken down by beats and bars very, very specifically. And we have shot numbers. So it's like shot two, and then we have to know what shot number we are and how many bars our shot is. So if I have like a 360 around Kendrick and I have 5 bars of music until the next shot, that means that I in my head have to know that I need to make a full 360 within 5 bars of music. And on top of that, I have the associate director counting those bars in my ear so that I know like how quick to go, how slow to go, where to clear next. And I know if she's on shot 10 and I have shot 13, I need to get over to the net, to wherever that shot's supposed to start. So like if you like look at some of the aerial shots during the Super Bowl, you can see people repoing. We're usually in black, or Tory was actually in a red hoodie to
right.
match.
Saw that.
Yeah,
Saw that. Right.
yeah. So
Right.
he was in the middle of the Peekaboo song with the whip
Exactly.
pan. That's Tory. So they
Okay.
put him in
Okay.
red so he blends in. Like for example, those whip pans are all timed with someone in Tori's ear going whip, and he whips, and then whip, whip, and it's like you kind of just lose sense of the show, and you just hone
Oh,
in because that's all you're hearing, and you're trying to execute your shot, and you've rehearsed
wow.
it so many times, and it's all you're hearing all day long. So
Wow.
you start counting numbers in your sleep. But so because I
Okay.
mean, literally, it'll be like it's like okay, shot two, 4 bars, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4
Oh,
shot.
wow. Okay.
So it's like, and it depends on how fast the song is. It could be like 1, 2, 3, 4 shot, 2, 2, 3, 4. So it's like just picture listening to that
Amazing.
all day long. And
Okay.
then,
Amazing.
yeah. So you're really
That's
almost
amazing.
not hearing the music. I mean,
Right.
I'm secondary. So yeah, and then occasionally with the high profile people, like I had to go off site we had a day off the day before Super Bowl. And but I got called in to go rehearse off site with Kendrick. And it's great because they want to make the show as best as they can, obviously.
Right.
So, and it was great getting to work with, and the same thing happened with Beyonce. We had an off day and we went and did a couple of moves where we just weren't getting it in the rehearsal on the field. So we go and meet with them, aside from the rest of the crew, because the Steadicam and the Trinity, they're very personable, I feel like, with the artists because we're kind of tracking with them. We're putting the viewer right alongside with them. Not that the other cameras don't, but they're just usually further away, zoomed in. And we're like, walking along with Kendrick or pulling Beyonce back, so the choreography of them with us also has to be spot on because we don't want to run into them.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it just becomes a little bit more personable. And yeah, I mean it's great because it's such a collaborative effort on everyone's part. I mean, from the
Right.
director, the AD, the talent, I mean, to the operators, and even to our assistants. Like
Right. Exactly.
they
Exactly.
have to
Everybody
know.
noticed that. Yeah. Yeah, we noticed that. We did. Now, what you're sharing with us, thank you for those details, and thank you for bringing such a phenomenal show to the world. I mean, because the numbers, according to the NFL and what they put out, the numbers surpassed any Michael Jackson's Super
I
Bowl
saw
halftime
that.
shows. Yeah, it was like 133 million. I was like, what? And you
Yeah,
and the way everybody's
I was.
like, this is like a video shoot. And I mean, from the way it was delivered and what people are looking at on
Right.
their screens and on YouTube. So
Yeah,
congratulate. I mean, I don't know this is your profession, but I'm just saying still, when you had the pressure of that many people, the world watching, that is
yeah,
serious. And
yeah.
they're watching through I mean, because you were literally on Not Like Us. Um, and you said his name is Tori?
Corey, yeah.
Tori.
Hmm.
Yeah, we saw him on Peek. Well, I did from my phone in a video on YouTube from Peekaboo in the red. I mean, I don't know how, sitting from where I was able to see some of that. And then, as you said, to your point of how the talent or the artist or Kendrick, and I didn't see, the Beyonce one, but Kendrick, just ducking under and knowing when
Yeah,
to, and just, it's
that,
like,
yeah. Oh, and like to put that in perspective, okay, so you have your utility, we call him our utility who's guiding us essentially. But like I said, we also have someone pulling focus that's like off to the side of the field and they have a monitor and they have to know so I don't know, how well people know how the lenses on these cameras work, but if someone's 10 feet away, you have to set the lens to 10 feet for focus. Otherwise, it's out of focus and blurry.
got it. Okay.
Right? So for that shot that Tori had, Peekaboo, where Kendrick just pops up in the frame,
Right.
the focus puller didn't know the distance. So I mean, we'd rehearsed it, but you had the dancers further in the frame, right? And so they had to be in focus. And then as soon as Kendrick pops up, he has to rack focus to bring it closer because Kendrick's like 2 feet from the lens. And so
Right.
it's like you have a whole nother set of people over there whose responsibility it is to make sure it's not blurry when they pop up. And I mean, I think Yoshi was I forget Yoshi's last name, sorry, but Yoshi was Tori's focus puller, and I mean, yeah, everyone just it's such a collaborative and it's a adrenaline rush on for me at least, honestly. Like it's fun. Like it's weird. Like your heart beats fast, and then once you get going, it slows down, and you're just like hone in.
Zoning, you're flowing. That is so
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
It's
and it's
amazing.
yeah, it's fun. So
So how did you get into this? How did you get into this work? And was it always okay? I love production, the behind the
yeah.
scenes, because the behind the scenes are just like wow. I mean, right now we're seeing versus we love, what we see from the viewership side on that production, that 133 million that's out there that everybody's watching the video like 10 times each every day, it seems to me. Um, but also the behind the scenes is really
Mhm.
captivating and seeing that and the timing. How did you get into this work? And did so many high profile individuals. But anyway, how did you get into this work
I mean,
or
I
this
just
profession?
Yeah, I mean, I think from like honestly, like when I was like 12 or ish, like I just kind of knew I decided I wanted to make movies, so I just loved movies growing up. But just kept working at that and I went to Syracuse for film school
Okay.
and then graduated and moved back. I'm from out in Southern California originally, so I moved back from New York in Syracuse to Southern California. I got right into the industry. The writer's strike happened around then.
Oh,
Not this past one, but the one
before.
from like
Okay.
2008, I think it was.
Okay. Okay.
And I kind of the only thing that was still shooting was like reality television, and so I was like fresh out of college, needed a job, so I got into that. And then eventually I liked filming, and I just I think a producer or director overheard me talking about camera, asked if I wanted to come operate at a music festival. And so I once I started doing that, I just started getting more and more camera jobs. And then I was doing handheld, so it was, just you're holding it on your shoulder, and I kind of got was getting bored. I wanted to like try something else, and that's how I got into Steadicam and then eventually Trinity. And um yeah, it was like basically through networking and just I guess you could say reputations that you start to work your way up. You get bigger and bigger projects. You start small, the next job comes along and they're like, oh, he did this or he did that. Let's bring him on this and that. And then, oh, you need a Trinity or a Steadicam operator. I know a guy. And then you get recommended. Like Tori is the one that recommended me to Hamish for Super Bowl and for my first Grammys. My first Grammys was, I think, 2020, the COVID year.
Okay.
So and that was Tori that recommended me. So and I think someone had told Tori about me maybe, or I had covered for Tori on one other show and it went well. And so that, you kind of just get established and then it's just kind of word of mouth. Or someone just catches a glimpse of your work and they're like, hey, I want to do like with Rihanna, we we did that. I don't know if you ever saw that one or if you remember, but we did a
No, I
shot
yeah,
with
I did.
yeah, we rolled the camera. And so that was my shot. And literally, I think a week later, I got a call for a commercial and they're like, hey, we want to roll the camera. And I was like, were you the operator on Rihanna? I was like, yeah, that was me. So I got that. And then I think I heard Beyonce wanted to do it for her tour. So I didn't do her tour. There's another operator that did her tour, but apparently Shakira was at one of her. This is all hearsay from word of mouth, but
Right.
apparently Shakira saw Beyonce's show in Spain and she saw the camera roll. And
Oh,
that year,
wow.
and Shakira was doing the Video Music Awards at
Okay.
MTV that year, and she wanted a camera roll, so they called me.
Wow.
And they're like, hey, Shakira saw Beyonce. Beyonce saw Rihanna.
Wow.
And so there's a shot in the Video Music Awards of Shakira performing where the camera roll. So it's just like it just kind of, and that's just one camera move. So imagine just, having different shows or long show. One of my favorite shots that I always say is like to me, one of the best live Steadicam shots was by Tori. I don't know if you remember Grease Live, like 12 years ago, maybe.
I remember, but I didn't watch it, but I remember.
Yeah, it's the opening shot, and it's like a
Got it.
4 minute long shot of Tori just going all over the Warner Brothers backlot, like through buildings and pulling. I think it was, I forget who the opening artist was. It was a big musical number, but it was like I saw that shot like 12 or 13 years ago, and I always say like that's the shot that made me want to do Steadicam. So it's like you do those things, and it just kind of builds your reputation, and then you typically will start to get calls, from either repeat directors or first time directors that you've never worked with, and it just kind of grows from there.
Awesome,
So.
awesome. Any advice for those who were like you when you were young, 12 years old, or younger, I'm sorry,
Mhm.
12 years old kid wants to do the work behind the scenes, whether it's making movies, shows. I mean, because your work is immaculate. I mean, I know that the level and the type of cameras also play a role in that, like that cinematic, what you were saying earlier. But any
Yeah.
advice but the skills? I mean, you have to know timing, your body. I want to say this. There's one time in the video, and the video that I took from my seat, just my little phone,
Mhm.
and the camera is like at almost at shoulder length. It's just like way up here.
Mhm.
The mechanics in that.
Mhm.
I mean, because some
Yeah.
body weight has to be in there somewhere to hold that up
Yeah.
there.
Well, again, so there's like this arm that's attached to your vest, and then
Mhm.
the other end of the arm is what the camera, the sled is what we call it, sits on. And so that arm is really absorbing the shock, and it also allows you to lift. So it kind of like it's hard to explain. It's like having it's almost like having a pallet jack. You know how you can kind of lift stuff up and it's like that. Like it lifts and then you can kind of just let it sit there. So it's not really like you're holding it up. It's more
Oh, got
just the
it.
weight it's on your hips and it's still heavy. Obviously, you have mass attached to your body. But as far as like where you boom, we call it booming up or booming down, the camera, it will, pretty much stay there depending on how you have your arm, your Steadicam arm set. So you can take out that tension, and if you boom up, you really got to hold it up there, or you can set it to where like you boom up, and you kind of just have to keep a little bit of a light touch to it, and then that way you can boom down, and it'll stay down. It's just kind of where you want to place it. So I mean,
So
but yeah,
I'm sorry. So for those, thank you for that, for those details. But like you said, there's still weight. I mean, the fitness,
yeah, there's
that it
still
takes
weight,
some of the pressure off,
right?
but the weight, yeah, the weight. It
Yeah.
sounds like that's what you're saying because I do know. I don't know if he had old school equipment or what, but there was this one person who, that I know of years ago. Not too many. Well, a few years back, he was doing something or on the production side on the camera for it was something that was being produced for Netflix.
Mhm.
And I spoke with him, a camera guy, and he goes that he had a back surgery some years back. So I think with technology advancing, it
Yeah.
has done something or something.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, it's funny. I don't, there's like, out of all, I mean, I know a lot of the Steadicam operators and Trinity operators, and I maybe know like one or two guys that are like around my age and have been probably doing it for about the same amount of time. And their backs seem okay. Like I haven't heard anything yet, but I do know that there's guys, from, 20, 30, 40 years that have been doing it. And yeah, it's taken a toll on their back. And I don't know if it's like the evolution of the technology or what. It's I when I do handheld, I don't really do handheld that much anymore. But handheld, you're just holding the camera, right? So it's not like you have all the extra stuff attached. So it's a lighter camera. It hurts my back more than when I do Steadicam because it's like
Oh
you're just
wow.
well, it's on one shoulder. You're kind of slouched to the side. It's like it's really bad to kind of do that all day. But now
Yeah.
I've seen guys and they've come out with these vests that essentially it looks like what I wear, but it has like a mount on the shoulder. So it can rest on that, and then it's got like a spar going down your either the back or the front of your chest and back. So it again, it puts the weight on your hips and it evenly distributes it as opposed to leaning to one
Yeah.
side
Yeah. Exactly.
all
The
day
body is
long.
off. Yeah.
So, maybe you're right. I think maybe the technology's start really improved
I
and
think
it's
so too.
helping. So,
Yeah.
but
So I think
to
that person I'm sorry. He was it was some years ago. I mean, he's like I don't know if I'm not if I can remember correctly. It'd been years, 30 years or something he'd been in the business. So yeah, I don't know, but I'm sorry, you were saying.
Oh no, I mean I was gonna say there's an operator that he passed away a year and a half or 2 years ago, but he was doing Steadicam into his 60s.
Wow.
Hector, like he did Dancing with the Stars, I think he might have
Wow.
been doing Steadicam at 70. He was and I mean he was just healthy and loved it and did it. Like and he was good at it. He was great at it. So they still have his picture on the set of Dancing with the Stars. It's like a little picture that they
Awesome.
put up. Yeah, so
Yay.
it's like, it's just, it's an individual thing, I think, and it's how well you take care of your body. That's the
Indeed.
other thing. Stretching. Stretching is a huge thing with, like, you were asking about keeping in shape and all that. Like, stretching is the biggest thing I think that in the last 2 to 3 years, my doctor, when I go to get physicals, he's like, your back is very tight. Like you need to really work on your hamstrings and stretching. So I've tried to implement that a lot. I've heard a lot of operators do yoga, Pilates. And it
Mm.
really, not even just for keeping flexible, but for breathing exercises. Think about it. If you're trying to hold a shot dead steady and you're tired and you're breathing really heavily, the
Oh
camera's gonna
yeah.
So it's
Yep.
just like breath, breath control, hip control. It's a lot of little tiny subtleties that you work on over the course of your career. And it's like I always say every time I build my Steadicam or my Trinity, I learn something new. Like it's just every job is different, so you learn something new on every job.
Awesome,
Uh,
awesome.
but
So
going to
so
what you were, oh, sorry, I was going to say what you were asking about people getting into it.
exactly,
Uh,
advice for them.
yeah, again, going toward what you were saying with, or possibly like newer technology, I feel like it's becoming easier and easier to get a hold of. I mean, people are shooting videos and movies with their iPhones now. So it's, you can start that small. I mean, I was in high
Mm,
school. I took a video production class in high school, and I like the teacher was nice enough to let me utilize the camera off out of class. And so you just pull your resources and what you have, and it doesn't need to be $100,000 camera that you're getting started with, you know? I, the rig that I use is very expensive, but compared to the first rig that I bought and used, it's like not even a quarter of what the newer equipment is. So you start small and just practice, 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 and
got it.
compile everything that you shoot, and you can put together a reel, and then, it's just about being ready when you get your opportunity, I guess, and executing. Like I I wasn't working with any of these big directors until I really had a shot at covering another fellow Steadicam operator, Ron Lehman, on Dancing with the Stars. And I will tell you, Dancing with the Stars, if you can do that show, you're pretty set. You can do any show, like, because that is the most, it's, what is it, 1 hour or 2 hour show, live show. And it is just like I was talking about the counting beats and bars. And it's like always fast to dancing. And it's just like, and if you watch that show, you never see another camera. It is such a, there's as much choreography of the cameramen as there is the dancers. Like it's just so fast paced, it's so specific, and it's just, I mean, you're doing what, 10 dances every show. So if you can, I got the opportunity to cover on that show, and you know, I think I nailed it. And after that, like I started getting recommended for other bigger shows, and it just started, snowballing after that. And so it's just about being ready and when you get that big opportunity. And in order to be ready, you got to do the smaller ones first. I think it's practice is what it is.
Wow, that is
So,
exceptional advice. I am looking at your Instagram here, Sean Flannery. See my
mhm.
phone, and
Yeah,
so SPFLANNE
yeah,
is how people
yeah.
can follow you on Instagram.
Mhm.
Thank you for that advice, and I think that rule of thumb applies across the board